Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, today I want to talk about something that is invaluable, something that once lost is so hard to regain. It's peace. Yes, peace. In a world full of distractions, challenges, and constant noise, we often find ourselves running after things that are fleeting. We chase after success, recognition, approval, and the idea of perfection, forgetting that the most precious gift we can hold on to is peace of mind and heart. We all face struggles, don't we? Whether it's a personal loss, an unexpected setback, or the weight of our own doubts, life has its way of testing our resilience. And in those moments of trial, it's so easy to lose ourselves in the chaos. We find ourselves caught up in the storms that rage around us, storm of expectations, of fear, of comparison. But I ask you today, what would happen if instead of losing our peace, we decided to anchor ourselves in it? It's easy to blame the world, to point fingers at circumstances and say, this is why I'm not at peace, but the truth is, peace isn't something that's out there waiting for us to find. Peace is something we cultivate, something we choose every single day. It's not about waiting for everything to be perfect. It's about finding contentment within, no matter how imperfect life may be. There's this misconception that peace comes only when everything around us is in harmony, when all the pieces fall into place. But let me tell you something. Real peace comes from within, from our ability to remain calm in the face of life's storms. Real peace is found when we stop seeking validation from others and start validating ourselves. It's found when we accept that we are enough just as we are, with all our flaws, our scars, and our dreams. So how do we not lose our peace? The first step is acceptance, accepting that life is unpredictable, that we cannot control everything. We cannot control how others behave, what the world thinks of us, or how many obstacles we face. But we can control our response. We can choose to not let the external world dictate our inner world. The second step is gratitude. There is always something to be grateful for, even in the darkest times. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have. When we are grateful, peace starts to find its way back into our hearts. It teaches us that no matter the situation, we are rich with blessings. The third step is self-compassion. Life doesn't have to be about striving for perfection. It's about progress. Be kind to yourself. Embrace your imperfections, for they make you uniquely you. Understand that mistakes are not the end of your journey, but a part of it. We need to protect our energy. Not everyone and not everything deserves space in your heart. Choose your battles wisely. Don't let negativity or toxic relationships steal your peace. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, with things that bring you joy. Sometimes it's okay to say no to things that disrupt your peace. Don't lose your peace in the chaos of life. Don't allow the noise of the world to drown out the quiet strength that lies within you. No matter how challenging life gets, remember that you have the power to choose peace. And when you do, you will realize that nothing in this world can ever take away what you found within yourself. So as we move forward today, I leave you with this reminder: your peace is yours to protect. Don't let anyone or anything take that from you. Stand firm in it and let it be the light that guides you, even in the darkest moments. Acceptance is one of the most powerful tools we can develop in life. It is the foundation of emotional stability and peace. When we learn to accept things as they are, we unlock a level of freedom that is unmatched. The ability to accept doesn't mean that we are okay with everything in life, or that we are resigned to passively allow things to unfold without taking action. Rather, it is a deep understanding that not everything is in our control, and in those moments, finding peace comes through accepting the reality before us. We live in a world that constantly tells us to strive for perfection, to meet every goal, and to shape our lives according to a particular blueprint of success. From a young age, we are taught that we must succeed, that failure is not an option, and that life should follow a linear trajectory. We're told to plan, to aim high, and to work tirelessly to achieve what we desire. However, what often happens when we face setbacks, disappointment, or moments of uncertainty is that we begin to feel out of control. These experiences can shake us to our core, causing us to question our worth, our abilities, and the direction of our lives. At the heart of this lies a simple truth: the only thing we can truly control is our response to what happens. Life's unpredictability is part of the human experience, yet it is something that many of us struggle to accept. We want to know what's going to happen next. We want to be prepared for every possible outcome. We want to have a sense of control over every aspect of our lives, from our relationships to our careers, our finances, and our health. However, this desire for control can often leave us frustrated, anxious, and feeling powerless when things don't go as planned. Acceptance teaches us to acknowledge that life is, by nature, unpredictable. No matter how much we plan, no matter how much effort we put into ensuring that everything aligns with our expectations, life can change in an instant. People can come and go, opportunities can appear and vanish, and circumstances can shift without warning. Accepting this truth doesn't mean we have to like it, nor does it mean that we shouldn't strive for improvement or progress. It simply means that we come to a place of peace where we understand that the world does not always work on our terms, and that is okay. The process of acceptance begins with acknowledging what is. Instead of fighting against the present moment, instead of wishing for things to be different, we choose to meet reality where it stands. This is a difficult practice, particularly when we are faced with pain, disappointment, or hardship. It's easy to become resentful or to fall into a mindset of why me when things don't go the way we want. However, when we can step back from our emotional reactions and simply observe the situation, we begin to create space for peace to enter. In many ways, accepting what is happening around us is a form of emotional intelligence. It requires us to step outside of our ego, which constantly demands that things go according to our desires, and to move into a place of mindfulness and balance. The ego wants us to control every aspect of our lives, to prove our worth through accomplishments, and to have our identities tightly bound to external markers of success. But acceptance invites us to let go of these attachments and to recognize that we are enough, regardless of external circumstances. A key element of acceptance is acknowledging that we cannot control others. Whether it's family members, friends, or colleagues, we cannot dictate how people act or think. We cannot change their beliefs, their behavior, or their choices. In relationships, especially, we often find ourselves caught in cycles of frustration because we try to force others to see things from our perspective or to behave in a way that aligns with our desires. We argue, we fight, we beg, and we become disheartened when things don't go the way we want. But real peace comes when we accept that other people have their own journeys, their own experiences, and their own paths to walk. We cannot control them. The only person we can control is ourselves. This doesn't mean that we should accept mistreatment or toxic behavior. Acceptance is not about tolerating harm or injustice. It is about recognizing that we cannot change others, and that it is up to us to decide how we respond. If someone behaves in a way that harms us or causes us pain, we can accept that their actions are beyond our control, but we also have the power to set boundaries and make choices that protect our well-being. We can choose to walk away from situations or relationships that are unhealthy, and we can choose to remove ourselves from environments that drain our energy. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity, it means acknowledging what is and then deciding how we will respond to it. In accepting what is, we also give ourselves permission to release the need for perfection. The desire to always be perfect, to meet every standard, and to be flawless in every area of our lives is a heavy burden. It can lead to feelings of inadequacy, shame, and frustration when we inevitably fall short of these unrealistic expectations. Perfection is a myth. It's an illusion that we chase, thinking that if we attain it, we will finally be happy or fulfilled. But in reality, the pursuit of perfection often leaves us feeling empty and exhausted. Acceptance invites us to embrace imperfection, both in ourselves and in others. It allows us to let go of the pressure to be flawless and to acknowledge that mistakes and failures are part of the human experience. We are not defined by our mistakes, but by how we respond to them. When we accept our imperfections, we create space for growth, learning, and self-compassion. We stop beating ourselves up for every misstep and instead focus on how we can learn from them and move forward. Acceptance also means letting go of our attachment to outcomes. We often set our sights on specific goals, believing that achieving them will bring us happiness and fulfillment. Whether it's a career milestone, a relationship goal, or a financial target, we place all our hopes and dreams on these outcomes. And when things don't unfold as we envisioned, we experience disappointment, frustration, and even despair. But acceptance teaches us that while goals are important, they are not the sole source of our happiness. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and sometimes the things we think we want may not be the things that ultimately bring us peace. When we let go of our attachment to outcomes, we free ourselves from the burden of constant striving. We learn to appreciate the journey, the lessons, and the experiences that come along the way. We begin to understand that the path to peace is not linear, and that life will unfold in its own time and in its own way. We can still pursue our goals, but we do so with a sense of ease and trust, knowing that we are not defined by the outcome. It's important to understand that acceptance doesn't mean that we should stop striving for better, that we should stop trying to improve ourselves or our circumstances. It simply means that we acknowledge where we are in the present moment without judgment, and we allow ourselves the grace to move forward without the weight of resistance holding us back. We can accept the current situation while still working towards our goals, and we can trust that the journey will unfold in the way it is meant to. Acceptance is a practice, and like any practice, it takes time and effort to cultivate. It requires patience, mindfulness, and self-awareness. It requires us to let go of the need for control and to trust in the process of life. It's not always easy, and there will be moments when we feel frustrated or overwhelmed. But the more we practice acceptance, the more we realize that it is not a passive surrender, but an active choice to embrace life as it is and to find peace in that acceptance. Accepting what is allows us to release the burden of resistance and to find freedom in the present moment. It opens us up to the beauty and richness of life, even in its imperfection. When we accept ourselves, others, and the world around us as they are, we step into a space of true peace, one that is not dependent on external circumstances but grounded in our ability to find calm amidst the chaos. This is the power of acceptance. It allows us to live fully without the weight of regret, frustration, or fear, and to move through life with a sense of grace, strength, and inner peace. Protecting your energy is one of the most important practices you can develop in today's world. We live in a society that is constantly demanding our attention, our time, and our emotional investment. Whether it's through work, relationships, social media, or societal expectations, we are often pulled in multiple directions, leaving little room for self-care, reflection, or peace. Our energy is one of the most valuable resources we have, and once it is drained, it can be difficult to recharge. This is why it is essential to learn how to protect it, to recognize when it is being depleted, and to set boundaries that allow us to preserve and nurture our inner vitality. The first step in protecting your energy is becoming aware of where it's going. Many of us go through our days on autopilot, not fully conscious of how certain activities, people, or situations affect our emotional, mental, and physical energy. We may find ourselves feeling exhausted after spending time with certain people, overwhelmed by the demands of our job, or drained by constant exposure to negative news or social media. It's easy to ignore the signals our bodies and minds send us when we are being overextended, but these signals are important. Fatigue, irritability, anxiety, or feeling emotionally numb are all signs that our energy is being depleted. Becoming aware of how different experiences affect us is the first step toward protecting our energy. Once we have an awareness of what drains us, we can begin to make intentional choices about how we spend our time and who we allow into our lives. Energy vampires, people, or situations that consistently leave us feeling drained or depleted can have a significant impact on our well-being. It may be difficult to recognize these energy-draining influences, especially if we are accustomed to putting others' needs before our own. However, it is crucial to understand that we cannot pour from an empty cup. If we are constantly giving our energy to others without replenishing it, we will eventually burn out. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it is a necessary act of self-preservation. This may mean limiting time with people who bring negativity or drama into our lives, cutting back on obligations that are not aligned with our values, or saying no to requests that overextend us. Another important aspect of protecting your energy is being mindful of the media and information you consume. In today's digital age, we are constantly bombarded with information, much of it negative or sensationalized. The 24-hour news cycle, social media platforms, and endless streams of notifications can create a constant sense of urgency and stress. When we immerse ourselves in this constant influx of information, it can leave us feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and disconnected from the present moment. While it is important to stay informed, it is equally important to take breaks from the noise. Setting boundaries around how much time you spend on social media or limiting exposure to negative news can help protect your energy and mental health. Consider curating your feeds to follow accounts that inspire, uplift, and empower you, rather than those that feed into fear or negativity. Create spaces of peace where you can disconnect from the digital world and reconnect with yourself. Protecting your energy also involves nurturing your physical well-being. Our bodies are closely connected to our energy levels, and taking care of our physical health is essential to maintaining a balanced and sustainable flow of energy. This means making time for regular exercise, eating nourishing foods, getting enough rest, and engaging in practices that help you relax and recharge. When we neglect our physical needs, our energy can quickly become depleted, leading to burnout, illness, or chronic stress. It is important to listen to our bodies and give them the care they deserve. Engaging in activities like yoga, meditation, deep breathing, or spending time in nature can all help to restore and protect our energy. In addition to physical self-care, protecting your energy also involves emotional self-care. Our emotional well-being is just as important as our physical health, and it is crucial to create emotional boundaries to prevent emotional exhaustion. This may mean distancing yourself from toxic or draining relationships, not taking on the emotional burdens of others, or allowing yourself the space to process and release difficult emotions. We often feel pressure to be everything to everyone, but it's important to remember that we cannot carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. It's okay to say no, to ask for support, and to prioritize your own emotional health. Emotional protection also means allowing yourself to feel your emotions without judgment. Rather than suppressing feelings of sadness, anger, or frustration, we can create space to acknowledge and process them. This practice allows us to release negative emotions rather than holding on to them, which can be incredibly draining over time. Another key aspect of protecting your energy is creating environments that support your well-being. The spaces we inhabit, whether it's our home, workplace, or social settings, have a direct impact on our energy levels. Clutter, chaos, or toxic environments can leave us feeling drained and disoriented, while calm, organized, and nurturing spaces can help us feel centered and replenished. Take time to evaluate the environments you spend the most time in and consider how they affect your energy. If possible, create spaces that promote peace, focus, and relaxation. This might include organizing your living space, incorporating elements of nature, or creating areas dedicated to rest and relaxation. Surrounding yourself with positive influences, whether it's through uplifting artwork, plants, or scents, can have a profound effect on your energy levels. Protecting your energy requires cultivating a sense of inner peace and balance. This means learning how to manage stress and navigate difficult situations with grace and mindfulness. Stress is inevitable, but how we respond to it determines how much energy it drains from us. Developing coping strategies such as mindfulness, deep breathing, or journaling can help you stay grounded and preserve your energy in the face of challenges. It's important to remember that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we respond to life's ups and downs. By cultivating a sense of inner peace, we can maintain our energy even when external circumstances are chaotic or stressful. Protecting your energy is not a one-time action. It is an ongoing practice that requires awareness, boundaries, and self-care. It is a daily commitment to prioritizing your well-being, recognizing when your energy is being depleted, and taking steps to replenish and restore it. By protecting your energy, you are ensuring that you have the strength and vitality to pursue your goals, nurture your relationships, and live a fulfilling life. When you make your energy a priority, you give yourself the gift of balance, resilience, and peace. Being mindful of your thoughts is a practice that can profoundly influence the quality of your life. Our thoughts shape our reality in ways that are often unconscious, affecting not just how we perceive the world, but also how we respond to challenges, interact with others, and view ourselves. Many people live their lives unaware of the constant stream of thoughts running through their minds, and these thoughts can often be negative, limiting, or self-sabotaging. Mindfulness of our thoughts helps us break free from this automatic pattern, allowing us to take control over the narratives we tell ourselves and to create a healthier, more positive internal dialogue. It is about recognizing the power of our thoughts and choosing to engage with them consciously rather than letting them dictate our emotions and actions without awareness. One of the first steps in being mindful of your thoughts is becoming aware of them. Often our thoughts are automatic and we don't even realize how much of our thinking is driven by habit or external influence. We may find ourselves replaying past mistakes, worrying about the future, or getting caught in a loop of negative self-talk. These thoughts can be draining, but by becoming aware of them, we start to create a space where we can choose how to respond. It's like turning the volume down on the noise of our minds and tuning into what is truly going on beneath the surface. This awareness is the foundation of mindfulness. It allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment or attachment, simply noticing what comes up and how it makes us feel. The next step in cultivating mindfulness of your thoughts is learning to detach from them. It's easy to believe that our thoughts define us or that they are the truth of who we are. But in reality, thoughts are simply mental events that come and go. They do not define our essence. We are not our thoughts. When we become mindful, we begin to see thoughts as temporary and fluid, rather than fixed or permanent. This detachment from our thoughts helps us avoid becoming entangled in them, or letting them take control over our emotions and actions. Just because a thought arises doesn't mean we have to act on it or believe it. This shift in perspective allows us to approach our thoughts with greater objectivity, rather than being consumed by them. Another important aspect of mindfulness is recognizing the impact that our thoughts have on our emotions. Our thoughts and emotions are deeply interconnected, and often our emotions are a direct result of the thoughts we hold. For example, if we constantly think about the worst-case scenario, we may start to feel anxious, fearful, or stressed. If we constantly criticize ourselves, we may begin to feel inadequate or frustrated. By being mindful of our thoughts, we become more aware of how our internal narratives influence our emotional state. This awareness gives us the opportunity to change our thoughts and, in doing so, shift our emotional experience. Instead of getting swept away by negative emotions, we can pause, observe our thoughts, and consciously choose to think in a way that aligns with a more peaceful, positive, and empowering state of mind. A key part of being mindful of your thoughts is cultivating a practice of self-compassion. Often we are our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and beating ourselves up when we make mistakes. This constant self-judgment can create a negative feedback loop of negative thoughts and emotions. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to notice these patterns, and instead of criticizing ourselves for having them, we learn to treat ourselves with kindness. This doesn't mean that we ignore our shortcomings or stop trying to improve. Rather, it means accepting that we are human and imperfect. By practicing self-compassion, we interrupt the cycle of self-criticism and replace it with understanding and care. This shift in attitude allows us to approach challenges with a sense of patience and acceptance, rather than frustration or guilt. Another important component of mindful thinking is challenging limiting beliefs. We all have beliefs about ourselves, our potential, and the world around us, but many of these beliefs are rooted in fear or past experiences that no longer serve us. For example, if we have a deep-seated belief that we are not good enough or that success is out of our reach, we may unconsciously sabotage our efforts or hold ourselves back. Mindfulness helps us become aware of these beliefs and to question them. Are they based on facts, or are they simply stories we've told ourselves over the years? By becoming aware of limiting beliefs, we can begin to challenge them and replace them with more empowering, constructive thoughts. This process of questioning and reframing allows us to break free from old patterns and step into new possibilities. Mindfulness of your thoughts also involves letting go of the need for constant control. Many people try to control their thoughts, pushing away negative or uncomfortable ones in an attempt to maintain peace of mind. However, this approach often leads to more stress and frustration. Thoughts are not something that can be controlled. They will come and go as they please. Instead of trying to force certain thoughts out, mindfulness encourages us to accept them and let them pass. This is a crucial part of the process, learning to allow thoughts to be present without attaching to them or trying to control them. When we stop fighting our thoughts, we can experience greater peace and freedom, as we are no longer at war with our own minds. Gratitude is often seen as a simple, almost insignificant practice. We hear about it all the time: be thankful for what you have. But when we truly embrace gratitude, it becomes far more than a polite gesture. It transforms our lives, offering a shift in perspective that can fundamentally change the way we interact with the world. Gratitude is more than just counting your blessings. It's about acknowledging the present moment, no matter how imperfect it may seem, and finding value in what is, instead of constantly chasing after what we don't have. In today's fast paced world, we are constantly looking for the next big thing. We are told that happiness lies in success, wealth, recognition, or achievement. We are encouraged to keep striving for more and more, and in this process, we forget to appreciate what we already have. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of wanting more, believing that once we reach a certain milestone, we will finally be satisfied. But here's the truth: if we can't find gratitude in the present, we won't find it in the future either. No matter how much we accumulate or achieve, the desire for more will always be there, unless we shift our focus towards appreciating what we already have. Gratitude is the practice of acknowledging the present moment, of recognizing what is good in our lives right now, regardless of the circumstances. It doesn't mean ignoring our challenges, our struggles, or our pain. Rather, it's about balancing the negative with the positive. Life is not perfect, and we will inevitably face hardships, but in every moment there is something to be thankful for. Whether it's the people who support us, the lessons we've learned through adversity, or the simple moments of peace, gratitude helps us find beauty in the most ordinary things. When we practice gratitude, we shift our focus away from what is lacking in our lives. Rather than dwelling on what we don't have, we begin to focus on the abundance that already exists around us. We start to see the little things: the warmth of the sun on our skin, the comfort of a good meal, the laughter of a friend, the love of family. These are the things that often go unnoticed in the rush to achieve more, but they are the things that truly nourish our souls. Gratitude also has the power to shift our mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. In a world that often feels competitive and driven by comparisons, it's easy to believe that there is never enough success, enough wealth, enough love. We see others achieving things we desire, and we feel that we are somehow lacking. But when we focus on gratitude, we recognize that there is enough for everyone. There is enough love, enough opportunity, enough beauty in the world. Gratitude allows us to see that we are not in competition with others, but part of a larger whole. It helps us celebrate the successes of those around us without feeling threatened or envious. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is its ability to improve our mental and emotional well-being. Numerous studies have shown that practicing gratitude has a profound impact on our happiness, our stress levels, and our overall outlook on life. When we focus on what we're thankful for, we activate positive emotions and reduce negative feelings like envy, resentment, and frustration. Gratitude helps to rewire our brains, making us more resilient to life's challenges. It boosts our mood, increases our energy levels, and improves our relationships with others. It reminds us that despite everything that may not be going as planned, there is still so much to appreciate and enjoy in our lives. Gratitude also helps us develop a deeper connection with ourselves and others. When we regularly express gratitude, we become more aware of the goodness in our lives, and we become more mindful of the people who contribute to our well-being. This awareness fosters stronger relationships as we begin to genuinely appreciate those around us. Whether it's through small acts of kindness or verbal expressions of thanks, gratitude strengthens the bonds we share with others. It shifts our perspective from focusing on what others are not doing for us to recognizing what they are doing and how they enrich our lives. But gratitude isn't just about appreciating the big things in life, it's also about finding joy in the small moments. It's easy to overlook the seemingly insignificant events or details, but they are often the ones that carry the most meaning. A quiet evening with a loved one, a beautiful sunset, a warm cup of tea, these are the moments that bring us comfort and peace. When we practice gratitude, we learn to notice and appreciate these small joys, which in turn help us cultivate a more positive and grounded outlook on life. Gratitude can also be a powerful tool for healing. When we are going through difficult times, it can be easy to fall into a mindset of hopelessness, to focus on what is wrong rather than what is right. During times of pain or loss, it can feel almost impossible to find something to be thankful for. But it is precisely in these moments that gratitude has the potential to help us heal. It doesn't diminish the pain or make it disappear, but it helps us find strength in the midst of adversity. By focusing on what we can be grateful for, even in the most challenging of circumstances, we shift our energy from one of victimhood to one of empowerment. We begin to see that we are not defined by our struggles, but by how we rise above them. Practicing gratitude is not always easy. especially when life feels overwhelming or when we are dealing with negative emotions. But it is in these moments that gratitude becomes even more important. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes. We begin to see the world through a lens of appreciation rather than lack. We start to notice the good even on the hardest days. The key is consistency, making gratitude a regular part of our daily lives, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Over time, we begin to notice how our perception of the world changes. Instead of focusing on what's missing, we start to recognize the abundance that exists all around us. Gratitude becomes a habit that shapes our mindset, our actions, and ultimately our happiness. Self-compassion is one of the most profound gifts we can give ourselves. In a world that constantly pushes us to be better, do more, and achieve greatness, we often forget to treat ourselves with the kindness and understanding that we so readily offer to others. We live in a society that glorifies perfection, encourages comparison, and emphasizes achievement. This leaves little room for mistakes or imperfections, which we are all bound to encounter. But in the pursuit of success, we overlook one essential truth: we are human, and being human means being imperfect. Self-compassion is about embracing that imperfection with love and patience, rather than self-criticism and harsh judgment. When we make a mistake or when we face challenges, the natural instinct is often to be hard on ourselves. We criticize our actions, label ourselves as failures, and focus on how we could have done better. This inner dialogue becomes a cycle of negativity that only deepens our struggles. We become our harshest critics, and in doing so, we add unnecessary suffering to our already difficult situations. But self-compassion offers an alternative to this approach. It asks us to treat ourselves with the same care and understanding that we would offer to a friend going through a hard time. The practice of self-compassion is rooted in three key elements: mindfulness, kindness, and common humanity. Mindfulness allows us to acknowledge our feelings without judgment. It helps us accept our emotions as they are, without trying to suppress or deny them. Instead of pushing away our pain, we sit with it, observe it, and let it be. We don't have to identify with our pain or let it define us. Mindfulness creates space for us to experience our emotions without getting lost in them. It allows us to see our struggles as temporary and part of the natural ebb and flow of life. Kindness, the second element of self-compassion, is about treating ourselves with warmth and care, especially when we're struggling. Often when we face failure or hardship, we respond with self-criticism. We tell ourselves that we are not good enough or that we are undeserving of love and success. However, self-compassion asks us to shift that inner dialogue. It encourages us to speak to ourselves as we would to a friend who is going through a difficult time, gently, with empathy and encouragement. This kindness is not about excusing our mistakes, but rather about offering ourselves the understanding and grace to move forward. We recognize that we are doing the best we can, and that mistakes are part of the process of learning and growing. The third element of self-compassion is recognizing our common humanity. We are not alone in our struggles. Every person, regardless of their success or appearance, experiences pain, disappointment, and failure. Understanding that suffering is part of the human experience helps us feel less isolated and less inclined to blame ourselves. We are not the only ones who face hardships, and